Hello, back hello. I'm gonna give a warning. This is a trigger warning. We'll be talking about sexual assault, substance abuse, suicide, things like that. If you are something that can't handle those type of topics, I suggest that you click off. Those who can handle it or want to hear it, I suggest that you grab a tissue if you need, a cup of water for a snack, something to, make it a little bit better for you. Valkyrae is, those who don't know, Valkyrae is a variety streamer on YouTube. I was watching her stream yesterday. It was about a sponsor, and it took a turn that I didn't think that would happen, or that was going to be talked about, which is about, she talked about mental health. It wasn't like a product, it was more just awareness. I learned, actually a new term, was ACEs. She said ACEs, I thought she said AIDS at first just because I'm dyslexic and I heard it differently. But basically, it's hard to make videos because I always have people who need my help in something. That's why I don't really make videos like this. It's kind of hard to get the time and time alone. The term ACEs, ACE, adversity childhood experiences. Basically, it's things that happen in your childhood that affect you into adulthood. I am 26, Valkyrae 32, so it's things that, we're adults, but we still deal with it on a daily basis. And things are like the voices, tragic events like losing a parent or someone close to you, suicide, cancers, constant bullying, abuse, what is domestic abuse, substance abuse. So for me, I wanted to make this story for a long time, but I never had the courage to make it. So this is pretty much me saying my story. Just to show the seriousness of this, I didn't want to hide behind the screen. I wanted to show my face. I just want to thank Valkyrae for telling her stories, and I do recommend you checking out her video, her stream on that VOD, because it talks about coping mechanism more in depth about it. Told her story, things like taking care of her dad, a hostile environment or not a positive environment when her family was going through a divorce. Her dad was, an alcoholic. She even mentioned something that made me actually break down. And I'm not someone to break down. It's not because I felt sorry for her, but it's because, but something that I really relate to, that she touched on, that she said that she has never said publicly, was that she was sexually abused. And that's the part where I broke down myself, because I finally felt validated and related to her, especially someone of her status, right? She's very accomplished, and her personality, you wouldn't really think something like that happened to her, just because she's so bubbly and genuine and transparent. She's just so caring, and she accomplished so much. You wouldn't think really something that horrible has happened. But anyways, this is my story. I was sexually assaulted by a couple people: my grandma's boyfriend, my two cousins, my cousin's best friend, and my uncle. This happened from the age of 6 all the way up until 19. It wasn't consent. It wasn't a relationship. It was, they had opportunities to. They would sometimes do it, harass me, even people around. Just people's awareness. So the first one was by my grandma's boyfriend. We were really young. Me and my brother, we were about 6 at the time. And we used to go to my grandma's house for sleepovers, for the summer. There's nothing out of the ordinary, I think, for people. My brother eventually told my mom's best friend, and then of course she told my mom. So that's how my mom found out. And we cut ties with my grandma for a long time. Kind of came back into reconnecting. I'll touch about that later on. The last one happened when I was 19. This one I remember the most. Everything else, all the other incidents, are kind of just suppressed in the back of my mind. This happened the night, actually, when my actual grandpa passed away. I took care of my grandpa the last couple of years of his life, and he was kind of like a child to me at the time. He had early dementia. I took care of him, fed him every day. I would do things to him to make him cheer up. I didn't really grow up with my actual grandpa because he was a drunk. He never really associated with us. When I did take care of him, it was just more of just taking care of him like a child until his last days. And the night that he died, in my culture, we do this. We don't mourn together. Like, we just celebrate their life. So we throw parties for the people that did know him, and to bring the spirits up instead of moping around. This was like the first time like I actually drunk around my family and stuff, and everyone had went to sleep. It was just me and my cousin up, and he raped me. The next day, I never had the courage to tell anybody, but the one person I knew that should feel what I felt or who would understand was my brother, because we had gone through it together when we were younger. I remember telling him, he looked me in the eye and was like, he would never do that. And he walked away. I just felt so much betrayal. And it was like slow motion as he was walking away. Like in those like K-pop dramas and stuff. It was literally like that. That's what it felt like to me. The next hour, we went to the beach with the family because the family wanted to do something positive and not sit around the house and cry. And I had to pretend that, to bond and be somewhat happier. That my own twin didn't believe me or, was just in shock. I won't say like, yeah, he's evil or anything. It was just, I think it was just a lot to hear and a lot of time in the moment because we had just lost my grandfather and my brother was really close, really, really close to my cousins for years. They have like a really good bond. And then I remember one day my brother was driving to town. We were going to the grocery store, I think, or something. He was reading a story or saw a YouTube video, someone who was raped. The story was that the twin, that I think was a girl, didn't believe the twin that was raped. And I was like, well, our cousin raped me and no one believed me. And for some reason it just clicked into him. I don't know why, it just finally did. About 2 weeks later, my mom and my brother go to the grocery store. The grocery store is about an hour away because it's an Asian store. It wasn't just like a normal store, it was an Asian store, and we live in an area that doesn't only have that much. I remember them returning 30 minutes later, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe they just settled for a Walmart or a Publix. My mom came up to me, she said hi, and then she hugged me, which I was like, weird, you know what I mean? Like, but okay. I didn't really think of it. I was like, oh, maybe she want a hug. Later that night, my mom wakes me up in the middle of the night. I think I want to say it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And she's like, JJ, you're not going to tell me anything, right? I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I actually slept, and I have insomnia, so it's hard for me to sleep in general. I was like, uh-huh. And then, like, she just kept, each time she said it more, it just became more sincere. I think by the fourth time, she's like, no, I'm serious. And she grabbed my hand, like my two hands. So she was like, you can tell me anything. Do you want to tell me anything? Very rapidly, I woke up and I realized what had happened. My brother ended up telling my mom about me being raped by my cousins. And I've still really never told them like the full stories about it or anything. And I just started bawling. I couldn't talk, I just bawled because I dealt with another betrayal. And then on top of it, it was a secret that he shouldn't have told. Now, this is not me like attacking my brother, but this is just me expressing things that I'm dealing with that I still don't know how to process. This is me trying to process, talking to this camera, talking to you. Maybe it helps someone, maybe it doesn't. But even if it's just one person, and that person happens to be me, but at least it's something. It's me trying to, a coping mechanism, I guess, or me trying to deal with it. Even though that happened, and even though I was betrayed and whatever, I did end up getting a little bit of help for about 3 months. And even though I didn't want the help, I don't want to talk about it to anyone, you know what I mean? And we didn't have the funds for it. But this is me telling you that there are help out there. that you don't have to pay for to get help. Don't think that you're helpless just because you're poor or stuff. There is things available for you that helps, right? And I will say, if you do happen to be exposed, I would say, and you don't feel like talking about it, I would say at least try the things that those people um, advise you to try. Um, I remember I fought myself the whole time. Like I didn't really put into any effort into getting help, but my mom did. My mom found this place called Dawn Center. That's basically a free program at a hospital that you'll go to. It's for people that has the domestic violence survivors, sexually abused, sexually assaulted survivors. And I say survivors because they made it through and they're alive. At first, I used to claim myself as a victim, but during the program and couple of sessions, I quickly realized I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. That should give you an empowerment. Like, yes, it sucked that it happened to you, but at least you're alive, and now you can try to deal with it. And they give me resources. Like, I don't like accepting things. By the end of the sessions, they will give me like a little gift basket, and it'll have things like combs and stuff, socks, some makeup stuff, some toothpaste, toothbrushes, and they deal with things like how to preventative measures, things that will kind of help you if you were to try to escape that lifestyle, if you happen to still be in that hostile environment. Me, I didn't have that anymore. And the things that I learned was, like the old phones that back in the day that still has physical keypads and stuff. Those phones you can still actually use to call 911. Even if they don't have a SIM card and stuff, you can still have emergency services to be used. So you only use it for a case of emergency. So you can still call 911. Fun fact. I tried different coping mechanisms that they tried before, and one thing I hate doing is I hate writing. It's one of my things I just hate. And I could have kind of put it into the back of my mind. But one day, I just kind of did it. And I wrote. I had a realization during this writing session. My grandma actually groomed me and my twin for her boyfriend. I don't know how to process that. I felt a lot of anger. And it's something that I guess I suppressed or never really thought about because, it's such a young age. Is why I wanted. And my grandma, she has a mental illness. She's a narcissist, schizophrenic person. And it's not to excuse it, and she doesn't wake. I'm not making an excuse, I'm just telling you to show a different side. Again, I still don't know how to process that, but it's something I discovered getting help through the Dawn program. I stopped going, but I did it. And another thing about in this journey was I stumbled upon this old VHS player and the little rewind. It was like this gray VHS rewinder, and I can't believe my grandma still had it. And the reason why this was so important because when I was writing, I wrote down like what would kind of happen. And one of the things that would happen was my grandma would leave the room to go work out or go do her sauna, and then in that time frame, me and my brother would watch a movie, on the VHS. He'd be like, come on the bed. He wanted to stop nagging until you go on the bed. In Asian culture, you don't disrespect. You listen to your elders. So that we did, and then you can, imply what happens next. I realized it's a small house. The living room where she would work out in is literally right next door. The sauna that she would be in is literally in the hallway right there. It's literally right in front of the door. So there's no way she didn't know that it was happening. And I haven't told my mom about this. I don't know if I ever will, because the reason why I never told my mom in the first place about my other cousin was she already dealt with it the first time. How would she feel about the second time? And that it happened, when we used to live together with my cousins, or, things like that. It's hard for a parent to even go through it the first time. Second time, it's like, are you even a good parent? I didn't want those things to cross through her mind, and hope she never watches these. But these are things that happened that I discovered during the journey of the Dawn Center. I threw it out. Most people would break down and cry and just didn't know what to do. But I ended up throwing it out. It didn't make me feel better, but at least I would never see that thing again. I don't get shocked often, but seeing that was just like a pit, like, especially when it's associated with a bad memory. Even though I have good memories with the VHS, but it's also bad. So I just encourage you to try it, even if it's randomly. And if you happen to be exposed, if you don't want it to be exposed, but it is out there, try it, write it, then you can burn it, shred it, send a letter, whatever you decide. I end up burning mine. That's probably what I'm going to do with this, because I wrote a script for this, and it's about 4 pages. I really only read the first page. I know my story, so, but it was kind of just keep me on track, and I don't want stuff like this to be lying around. But thank you for hearing my story as a viewer, and thank you, Valkyrae, for telling your stories. And maybe one day you have the courage to tell your story that you said that you want to tell one day. And thank you for giving me the courage. That's all. Until next time. Bye.